Buff Nation, what's going on? Hope you guys are having a wonderful weekend. Here's the deal. As we wait to figure out how this next portion of the transfer portal is going to work out, again, we got like 6 guys visiting this weekend. We have some wonderful news when it comes to the actual pro pipeline that Coach Prime is developing out here in Boulder, Colorado. We now have 12 accepted invites to post-college pre-NFL draft all-star games, which is awesome. 6 to the East-West Shrine Bowl, who, we've talked about those guys quite a bit. I'll name them off here soon. But also now 6 to the Hula Bowl, which I believe the Hula Bowl is the all-star game that Coach Prime played in before he got drafted, just a little while ago, right? So this is awesome. Again, guys, let me know your thoughts on this. Who do you think's got the best shot to get drafted out of these guys in the Hula Bowl? Let me know in the comments. But yeah, let's go ahead and get started. Now, earlier in December, Chidozie Nwankwo accepted an invite. I know like his dad posted something on Twitter about him, how it would be great to see him return to Boulder. But again, unless the NCAA changes something, I don't see how he's going to get a waiver to do that. He accepted the Hula Bowl invite. So hopefully he goes and performs really well. Really happy about that for him. And I was wondering, are we going to see more Buffs get Hula Bowl invites? And we've seen that coming through. BJ Green, one of our best players this year, transfer from Arizona State. He was fantastic. He accepted a Hula Bowl invite playing edge. Who else? How about our punter, Mark Vassett? Accepted Hula Bowl invite. Be interesting to see where he ends up. I imagine he'll end up, these guys probably will end up in camps, the majority of them. But in terms of, draft capital, as soon as day 3 hits, I mean, it's just kind of up in the air from that point. It was great to see Lavonta Bentley get a Hula Bowl invite, and he was one of our better players this year, still one of our leading tacklers on the team behind Silmon-Craig, I believe, was our leading tackler this year. Him or Kahlil Green, but Lavonta Bentley had a fantastic year this year. Thought he took a nice jump from his play last year. Really happy to see him accept this invite, and a guy that won over Buff Nation, I think, this year. Shout out to my friend Rawhide. He said Shane Koch's going to start this year. And he also said that Shane Koch didn't play bad last year. He said, hey, there was just a lot of attention on Shane Koch because the rest of the D-line was really, really thin. And hey, I think that he was absolutely right about that. I think that once Shane Koch was surrounded by, some other good talent at Colorado, you saw him really shine. He was just as solid against the run as Chidozie was grades-wise, and still highly productive there in the middle. I mean, him and Chidozie were great. So it's really cool to see that they're both going to be playing in the Hula Bowl together. I absolutely love that. And lastly, from the offensive line, Justin Mayer, somebody who played a lot of guard for us this year, part of that rotation. I think right now, if I were to put my money on it, in terms of getting drafted, this is where things, I don't know. I'm not a draft scout. I'm just going to give you my opinion. I think probably the guy that I think would have the best chance to get drafted, honestly, is probably going to be out of this bunch. I think it is going to be Shane Koch. I think it is probably him or Chidozie. I know Chidozie is a little undersized for, probably what some NFL teams want to have on the interior. But again, you've seen guys around that 300-pound range play fine. Of course, everybody's going to say, well, Aaron Donald was 290. Stop it. If we had Aaron Donald on the team, we would have won the Big 12. That's how I feel about it. But all that to say, there always are exceptions to the rule. But it would be great to see some of these guys that I just mentioned, in addition to the guys that we have playing in the Shrine Bowl. That is Shedeur Sanders, Shilo Sanders, Silmon-Craig, Jimmy Horn, LaJohntay Wester, and Will Sheppard. Hopefully we can see a few of these guys get drafted on day 3. I think for the most part, most of these guys will end up in camps at the very least, given spots to compete for not only roster spots, but practice squad positions as well. So yeah, we're really developing that CU to NFL pipeline. And this is how it starts. Usually it doesn't just flip overnight where you go from not having a draft pick in a few years to then, all of a sudden you're getting 10 guys drafted. Not necessarily at that level that Michigan was at last year, right? Didn't they have like 15 guys drafted? It was insane, but you see the progress, right? We didn't have a guy drafted last year, but you saw Xavier Weaver be one of the highest paid UDFAs after the draft. I still think he would have been drafted had he not been recovering from surgery on that shoulder. He played with a torn labrum for most of last year. And yeah, it's going to be fun to see how far we go. I think definitely we know 2 and 12 are going to be drafted there in the first round. And then after that, we'll have to see. I know that we all kind of have different opinions on who will be drafted after that, but I think we will see a few of our guys get drafted on day 3. And I think that that's fantastic. It's great for the brand. It's great for, again, being, having the substance behind what you're preaching. I really do love that. And this is, it's going to be fun to follow all these guys as they pursue their NFL dreams. Some of them, they're going to reach them. Some of them won't. Maybe some of them might end up in the UFL or the CFL. But I think what's such a encouraging sign right now is that you're seeing 12 guys from this year's team get a really prime opportunity to showcase their skills, whereas we just haven't had that many get invited to these bowl games in the past. There are a few guys that come to mind, but most notably Nate Landman. He was an undrafted guy from us a few years ago, and he's the starting linebacker for the Atlanta Falcons now. But like outside of that, Laviska Shenault, I think, was our last draft pick that we've had, if I remember correctly, a handful of years ago out in what was that, 2019, 2020? So I just love to see this. It makes me really happy. And also Jimmy Horn got a combine invite. I forgot to mention that. That's going to be substantial because I know, hey, he's got a little bit of an injury history, but you can't teach speed. You can't. And if he goes into that combine and runs a low 4.3 or a high, 4.2, he's definitely getting drafted at some point, even if he might be a little injury prone, so to speak. You just can't ignore that speed. And I can't wait to see what he does. I love the opportunities that these guys are getting. And I think what would be really cool, and this is my hope, again, you're not going to see all 12 of these guys get drafted. You're just not. Again, only the programs that have had guys get drafted in the double digits are the programs that are right in the mix for national title contention, year after year. Your Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, Michigan. But we're making a wonderful step in that direction, right? And I love it. I love it. So, yeah, y'all let me know who you think is, going to be that next guy drafted after 2 or 12. I've kind of been all over the place. LaJohntay Wester or Jimmy Horn. Will Sheppard has that prototype NFL body that you want to see. I do think probably our receivers would have the next best chance to get drafted. We'll just have to see how it all plays out. But I absolutely love this for the brand. Also, update, shout out to Kahlil Benson going back to Indiana. Hilarious. I absolutely love it because I remember when Benson came out here last year, Indiana fans were in my comments saying, yeah, there's a reason he transferred out, and that's because there was going to be no way in heck he was going to be starting for Indiana this next year. So you wonder what was just going on and if Indiana fans are going to be receptive to that. But, man, I think that's hilarious. Again, if I think there's any learnings that we can take from that, it is just no lineman especially before you even touch the field for the Buffs, don't be releasing merch. It's not a good look, and hopefully the Hoosiers don't allow that either. You don't need any unwanted attention on the offensive line. I'm a little bit more old school. Just let your play do your talking for you on the field. And if you're wearing a neck roll, you need to get tossed from a game at some point. So, and I was going to say this, Wisco B. I think that this would be really great. It's been a little while since Denver has had a CU buff come into camp, as a UDFA or a late draft pick. Juwan Winfrey, I still think he's going around NFL practice squads. I think he was with the Packers, maybe Colts for a little bit. He was a CU wide receiver that, again, just has that size, the speed, but the injury history is what kind of allowed him to fall in the draft. And again, I think he's like 6'3", really fast, but struggled staying healthy. He played for the Broncos for a couple seasons, if I remember. Of course, Philip Lindsay was a UDFA and came in and rushed for 2 straight 1,000-yard seasons, which was awesome to see. But my hope is that with the level of talent being raised so much over the last couple years, and with NFL scouts being at practices throughout the year, couple years, so often, of course, to scout Travis and Shedeur, and then seeing all the other players that we have, on the team as well, is that we see the Broncos bring out a couple buffs, maybe that go undrafted. Usually feel like teams try and keep things somewhat local when they're bringing out UDFAs to keep the travel costs low and everything like that. Plus, it's easier for them to just get out to camp because they're already there for the most part. That's what I would love to see. So hopefully a couple of these guys can end up as Broncos, and then I can end up talking about them on my Broncos channel as well. I think that would be really cool. Brady B saying BJ's getting drafted. Chidozie makes a roster. Bentley makes a practice squad. Cokes makes a camp. Mayors to the insurance industry. Oh, man. But, hey, NFL teams, they also have trouble developing or, having enough offensive line depth as always. So I do think that, hey, if he's got the size and the measurables, you could see Justin Mayers stick on a practice squad for a couple years, and then, you never know what will happen. Bishop, hope you're doing well. Wisco B saying BJ Green's definitely getting drafted. I feel like he's a little bit of a tweener, but yeah, I would love to see it. I mean, he was so good for us against the run and in pass rush. I think one of our leading sack getters as well. So, yeah, I would love to see it. I'd be thrilled to see all these guys get drafted. Akil coming in saying Emmanuel Pregnon, senior offensive lineman from USC, just entered the portal. That's right. Played 3 years at Wyoming and is from Denver, Colorado. So hopefully we get him here in Boulder to visit. I think that would be great. Hopefully there's some mutual interest there. If he wants to return to the Rocky Mountain area, just like what he was just up the road at Wyoming. So I think that would be really, really cool. Hey, Shirley, hope you're doing well. Miss Pleasantly Plump. Love to see it. Thanks for tuning in. Y'all smash that like and subscribe. Yeah, 6 on offense, 6 on defense. And, Travis Hunter could have accepted any of these invites. So really, we have 13 buffs on NFL radars. That's kind of what you really want to see moving forward. It's a great way to start. Dante S. This is what's great for the culture. We've had barely any transfers this season. At this point right now, it's only Nakai Hill-Green who left for Alabama, who I think, again, he could have gone pro, but he'll go to Alabama. And then it was Kahlil Benson. That's it. The transfer window has now closed for this portion. I forget when it opens up sometime in the spring again, but this is substantial. I think we've had a total of like 16 transfers, happen. Let me pull this up really quick. But yeah, like since we qualified for the bowl season, most of these guys are walk-ons and stuff. Let me see here. The heck? So it's 19. Again, all these guys that mainly announced that they are leaving, we knew that they're leaving for a while. And so again, it's great for the brand. It's great for the culture. I love to see it. So you're talking about guys of impact that have left. Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot about Hank Zielinskis. So this week it was Hank Zielinskis and Kahlil Benson. Those were the only two guys that entered the portal this week. Hall of Fame walk-on, no stats, Ian Massey entering the portal for like his 7th year of college football. Thank God. I don't think we'll ever have to deal with I don't think those guys have come back to the channel. Just the guys spamming Ian Massey on my channel for months and months and months over the summer. Again, I've never seen people go so hard after a dude that just didn't have stats. That just did not have stats. That was crazy. I can understand if you're not a stats guy, but to say that this guy was better than Cameron Silmon-Craig, than Shilo Sanders, than Carter Stoutmeyer, Savion Riley, heck, even Herman Smith. Give me Herman Smith. That's what I said. Yeah. Again, it was just crazy. I don't want to hear Buff Nation. I hope we've learned. You at least got to have some stats. This guy didn't have any. Trevor Woods to the portal. Best of luck to him. Nakai Hill-Green. Ethan Boyd, he retired. I don't think that he's doing anything. Destin Way. Tyler Johnson hasn't been with the team in forever. Deion Hayes left, but he played the first 3 games. And then, a lot of other walk-ons. Asad Wasim, or he wasn't a walk-on, but a scholarship player. Adonis Forrest, I didn't even know who he was. Yakir Walker quit halfway through. Peyton Kirkland, depth guy. Jordan Onavue, he moved on. Morgan Pearson, Cordell Russell, Ryan Buell. We didn't really see much of him this year, even though I liked what we saw. Walter Taylor, Johnny Chaney Jr. So again, not a lot of guys left that were impact players for us. I would say 3 of them were Nakai Hill-Green, Hank Zielinskis, and Kahlil Benson. So I think that's all great. Would have been nice to see some of these other guys stick around, but again, that's just what happens. We're not even near the top of college football right now when it comes to outgoing transfers. So, we brought 13 in. What do we got? 14 coming in from high school. So we're not done yet. As you know, we got 6 guys, I think, visiting this weekend. You can check out my video yesterday breaking all that down. But I think that things are going in the right direction, and it was nice to see. Again, I was not expecting us to bring in, like 45 new transfers or whatever that we still had to do last year. People forget that. There was still a lot of turnover. Is Wester coming back for one more year? LaJohntay cannot. Yeah, and I just talked about him. Emmanuel Prengon. Yeah, hopefully we can reach out to him. I would love to see it from Denver. Played this last year at USC. Did really, really well at guard. Played 3 years at Wyoming, so he's well seasoned. And again, guys, like this is what I'm talking about. Like even at these Power 4 transfers, they played 2 or 3 years at the G5 level, did well, then they're brought up and they're immediate starters. So again, we've done that with a few of the guys that are visiting and that we've brought in, such as Carter Miller. Don't forget a guy that I wanted to see stay on the team, but again, our team was, again, I think Phil Woldholt did a wonderful job. The one question that I always had is I didn't feel like we ever really made Kahlil Benson compete for that right tackle spot during the spring. And it wasn't until the spring game to where we saw him getting cooked at tackle. And then they moved him to guard, 3 weeks before the season started. When you're getting benched for Tyler Brown, who has never played right tackle, like that's never a good sign. But a guy that has made the jump kind of like Pregnon from G5 to playing Power 4 well, and continuing to succeed with Savion Washington. I thought he had a really good year out at Syracuse this year. He would have been tremendous to keep on the team, but it just didn't seem like there just wasn't that synergy there after Phil Woldholt came in there and Benson was there. It just kind of felt like he was just given that starting position immediately when he came in. And I'm not one to preach politics, right, when it comes to the coaching staff and all of that, but I don't know. Something didn't really sit right. Maybe Washington was still struggling with that high ankle sprain, that he suffered. But again, he had a fantastic year for Syracuse, and he gave much better right tackle play this year for the Orange than anything that we got this year. And I hope we don't make that mistake again. Whoever we're bringing in at the right tackle position definitely needs to be an upgrade from all the dudes that we've had over this past year. And I hope we don't make the mistake of just because somebody's talking a big game and drops a merch line does not mean they're going to be an improvement at the right tackle position. So with that being said, y'all, I'm going to get out of here. Got a flight to catch. Really appreciate every single one of y'all. Smash that like and subscribe on the way out. Go.